Alright, for lesson 3, we will be working with mixed fractions, adding and subtracting fractions, and multiplying and dividing fractions. Alright, so first of all, what is an improper? Oh, what's going on here? There we go. Alright, an improper fraction is a fraction where the numerator is greater than the denominator. Okay, so numerator is greater than the denominator. Alright, a mixed fraction is a whole number plus a fraction. Alright, we got the whole number here, and attached to it is another fraction. Alright, rewrite the improper fraction as a mixed fraction. So 5/3. How do we rewrite that as a mixed fraction? Well, how many times does 3 go into 5? All right, so setting up long division. 3 goes into 5 once. 1 times 3 is 3. Find the difference. Difference is 2. So how do we construct our mixed fraction? It's going to be 1 and 2 thirds. 1 and 2 thirds. All right, next one. How many times does 7 go into 24? Goes in there 3 times. 3 times 7 is 21. The difference is 3. So the mixed fraction is 3 and 3 sevenths. Alright, and then the last one, 10 and 72. 10 goes into 72 how many times? 7 times. I end up with 70. Difference is 2. So I have 7 and 2 tenths. But what does 2 tenths reduce to? It reduces to 1/5. So I could have simplified this before doing long division as well. It's your choice how you want to go about doing it. Alright, so there's my answer. Alright, now notice that the denominator here is the same as the denominator I started with. The denominator here is the same as the denominator I start with. It's not the same here. Why is that? Well, that's because we didn't simplify the fraction from the beginning. These fractions cannot be simplified from the beginning. 72 over 10 could be reduced to 36 over 5. Oh yeah, there we go. Now we have the same denominator. All right. So just want to make you aware of that. Going on to the next example. All right, when adding and subtracting fractions, you need to first have a common denominator. All right, the bottom number has to be the same. All right, so for example 2, simplify, if possible, write as a mixed fraction. Got 2 fractions here, same denominator, cool. All you have to do is add the numerators. 5, keep the denominator, 7s. All right, next one you have 1 minus 7. That's going to be -6, and then over 5, which is your common denominator. And typically your final answer will have the negative right next to the division symbol. Okay. Next one, we have 1/10 plus 1/5. Okay, here we do not have a common denominator. How do we get a common denominator? I'll multiply this one by 2, and now I have a common denominator. All right, so I have 1/10 plus 2/10, add the numerators, keep the denominator. All right, 3/8 minus 1/4. Multiply top and bottom of the second fraction by 2. All right, and I subtract the numerators, keep the denominator. All right, 4/3 plus 3/4. All right, so let's see what's going on here. Is there anything you can multiply 3 by to get 4? No. Is there anything you can multiply 4 by to get 3? No. One simple approach is just to multiply the denominators by each other then. All right, sometimes you can multiply them by smaller numbers to keep the common denominator smaller. But in this case, we're still working with small numbers, so that works out fine. All right, so now we have 16 plus 9, which is 25. Keep the denominator, 12. Okay, here I have an improper fraction, so I'm going to rewrite this as a mixed fraction. 12 25ths. 12 goes into 25. Let's see here. 2 times 12 is 24. Difference is 1. All right, so I have 2 and 1, 12. I just realized that in part B, we could write this as a mixed fraction. So 5 goes into 6 one time. Difference is 1. So it's going to be 1 and 1/5. Negative. All right, these are both the same answer though. Just pay attention to what the directions are. And let's see, next one. Okay, 3 fractions. Students see this problem and they skip it because they freak out. All right, don't freak out. Just imagine this wasn't even here. Okay, just imagine it wasn't even there. All right, and just work this piece out. You can do that. So here I'm going to multiply this by 2, top and bottom. This one by 3, top and bottom. So I get 21/12 minus, keep it in parentheses, 4/6 plus 3/6. So I get 21/12 minus 7/6. All right, that wasn't too bad. All right, and now I'm going to get a new common denominator. Multiply top and bottom by 2. I have 21/12 minus 14/12. All right, so I end up with 7/12. So there we go. And we can't simplify this anymore. No mixed fraction. There's our answer. See? Not that bad. Going on to the next example. All right, when multiplying fractions, you multiply the blank and the blank. All right, multiplying fractions is super simple. You just multiply the numerators and the denominators. Alright, so example 3, simplify if possible, write as a mixed fraction. Alright, so multiplying across, 8/15. 8/15, we can't reduce it, done. Next one, you could multiply across, alright, that's one way of doing it. Here's a strategy before you multiply across. Let's see, 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 8 4 times. This is just cross canceling here. Then I have, let's see, 2 goes into 6 3 times, 2 goes into 4 2 times. So essentially I'm just dividing the same number into 1 on the bottom and 1 on the top. All right, and so this makes the math a bit simpler to do. 2 times 4 is 8, 1 times 3 is 3. You didn't have to do it that way. You could just multiply it across in the beginning and then simplify it after. So I'm dividing 3 into 8. 3 goes into 8 twice. 2 times 3 is 6. Difference is 2. So I'm going to have 2 and 2/3 as my final answer. Last one, we have 3/4 times 5. Okay, you could rewrite 5 as a fraction by putting it simply over 1. So I have 3 times 5, multiply the numerators, and I have 4 times 1. Right. And I can rewrite this as a mixed fraction once again. 4 goes into 15 3 times. 3 times 4 is 12. Difference is 3. So I have 3 and 3/4. All right. When dividing fractions, you must multiply the first fraction, with the keyword reciprocal of the second fraction. Okay, so what is a reciprocal exactly? It just means you're flipping the fraction. So I take the first fraction and I multiply it by the flipped version of the second fraction. All right, that's it. So dividing fractions is super simple. You just take the second fraction, flip it, and it becomes a multiplication problem. So now I just multiply across, and I'm done. All right, simple as that. All right, next one, same deal. So now I'm multiplying by 8/5, and I could simplify this one here, cross canceling. 4 goes into 4 once, 4 goes into 8 twice. Multiply across, I get 6. Multiply across, I get 5. All right, now I do some long division. 5 goes into 6. 1 times 5 is 5. Difference is 1. So it's going to be 1 and 1/5. All right. 5/7 divided by 2. All right, I'm going to write this as 2/1. So flip the fraction. And multiply across. All right, and that's all there is to it. To the last examples. Ooh, word problems. Okay, don't freak out. Let's read through it. Let's look at what the important pieces of information are. Jessica's baking a cake. She needs a 1/2 cup sugar, half a cup sugar for the cake and 1/4 cup sugar for the frosting. How much sugar does she need in all? Okay, so all I'm going to do is add these two quantities. 1/4 plus a half. So I need a common denominator. 1/4 plus 2/4. All right, I have a common denominator. Cool. Add the numerators. Keep the denominator. All right, so I need 3/4 cup sugar. All right, for making this cake. John is making pancakes. The recipe calls for 2/3 cup flour. If John wants to make double the recipe, how much flour will he need? All right, two ways to do this problem. All right, so I'm making 2/3. I need 2/3 cup flour for one or serving or recipe of pancakes. All right, and then I need another 2/3 for the other serving of pancakes. So here I end up with 4/3. Okay, and I could rewrite this as a mixed fraction. 3 goes into 4 once. 1 times 3 is 3. Difference is 1. So I have 1 and 1/3. All right, you could have just as well done it this way. All right, I'm making double the recipe. So for one recipe, it's 2/3 cup. And since I'm making double the recipe, I multiply by 2. Okay, so I'll put that over 1. I get 4/3. All right, and I'll end up with the same result as above. All right, that's all there is to it. If you have any questions, all right, don't leave high school not knowing how to do this stuff. It's going to come up again down the road. All right, let me know if you need help. Begin the assignment at the bottom of the webpage.